This is a video response to a question that was posted in the Pagan Perspectives channel. It's actually just part of the question, and it was concerning body piercings, and if do the body piercings affect your energy flow. And there was a lot of different thoughts and theories about that, and it just made my brain start going and going and going. So I thought, I have to make this video. Oh my goodness. So the first thing it started to make me think about was how metals affect your body, because I think if piercings are going to affect your energy flow, it's not going to be the piercing itself, it's going to be the jewelry that you have in the piercing and what it is made of. And in the first physical realm, it made me think of my one friend who is she is a type of holistic healer. She does therapeutic foot spas, where you put your feet in like a basin, and there's this like hose thing that you put in the basin that's hooked up to a machine that puts, I think it's like ions and enzymes and stuff in the water, and that withdraws the toxins from your body out through the pores of your feet, you know, to help get over sicknesses. And when you have that procedure done, you cannot have any metal jewelry in your holes. If you have like earrings, you can't have them in, because in that type of procedure, since this foot spa and these enzymes withdraw the toxins from your body, in that act it also would be pulling different elements and compounds and whatever from the jewelry in your skin into your body. So that's one way that metal affects your body. And this is just on a physical realm. Another thing, it made me think about, my sister has piercings. She used to have her tongue pierced, she still has her nose pierced, and she would tell me how she always knew when she was about to get sick, because when she was about to get sick, her piercing would hurt. Now, I don't think that's from the metal. I don't think that's from the metal at all. I think that might be more from just the area, you know, from the piercing. And another thing is how some people, they can't wear watches. You know, the magnetic pull in their body, or the alkaline in their body affects certain types of watches, and they can't wear certain watches. They just won't work. They kill them. And, you know, then it makes me think about how mercury affects the human body. You know, that can actually make you insane. You know, people, they put mercury in fillings, in people's fillings, and later on people would have all these ailments and all these problems, and it's because of the mercury in their fillings, and they had to get all the fillings taken out. And, you know, and even, like, with pregnant women aren't supposed to eat a lot of tuna because of the mercury in tuna, because tuna is a fish that contains a very high amount of mercury. And another thought that made me think, I wonder how the properties of mercury, how they are similar or different to, you know, the god Mercury, but that's a whole other thing. And then there's lead poisoning. You know, metals affect your body in a very physical way. And then there's iron in your blood. You know, everybody has iron in their blood. Some men can have too much iron in their blood. Women can have too little iron in their blood because they're having their periods and have to take iron pills. I work with one woman who has such bad anemia that she has to get regular blood transfusions, you know. And, you know, sometimes just using a cast iron skillet, that puts iron in your food and actually gives you more iron, and you can eat food that has more iron in you. So metals are a very important part of our body. So if it can affect you physically, I'm sure it can affect you spiritually and through your energy. Then, one of the homeopathic treatments is something called colloidal silver, which I have right here. It's silver that's sort of in liquid form. It's not liquid silver, but it's a compound of silver, and people use it for all kinds of medical things. You know, people use it for eye problems and to help with the immune system, and it's very powerful stuff. And the interesting thing about silver, this colloidal silver, is once it's in your body, it never leaves. So it stays there forever, and some people, it's not processed properly, and there's too much high silver concentrate, and they consume it too much, they can actually turn gray. So, and then it makes you think of copper. You know, some people wear copper because it's supposed to help with arthritis, or you wear it on your non-dominant side of your body, and it's supposed to help strengthen that side of your body. But on the same note, you can get copper poisoning. You know, I remember reading in the paper when the price of metals went really high, some man had to go to the hospital because he had copper poisoning, and here they found out the reason why he got copper poisoning is because he was trying to saw out the pipes of some buildings to sell the metal, you know, and he inhaled too much copper. And then you have things like aluminum, you know, which they found can lead to Alzheimer's, and that's in our deodorant. You know, all this stuff affects us. You know, and that's just on the physical realm. That's just the physical realm. And if those things affect you on the physical realm, everyone knows when you're sick, or if you have some kind of ailment, or if you're not thinking right, you know, that affects you spiritually well, and it affects your energy flow as well. Being physically sick can affect your energy flow. So, I mean, why wouldn't the metal or whatever's in the piercing affect your energy? Why wouldn't it clog it? You know? On a more magical side, I remember reading somewhere that silver is a very absorbent energy. When you wear silver, it absorbs your energy, it absorbs other people's energy, and it's a very easy material to charge with a certain type of energy. So with that being said, you know, that can be a benefit, that can be a bad thing, you know, if it gets charged, if you're around too many negative people, it'll pull up their energy, and then you're wearing all that weight. So it's very important to cleanse your silver jewelry. And I mean, and then you just have jewelry in and of itself and the charges that holds. You know, I mean, we can make a whole video about how jewelry itself can affect your energy, you know, whether you want it to or whether you don't want it to. You know, I mean, and you have all the gods and goddesses with their own special jewelries, you know, like the Eye of Horus and, or Eye of Odin, I don't know. Eye of Horus, Eye of Odin. I know Freya's necklace and, you know, all kinds of stuff. And then they have fairies, you know. People say fairies, they can't work magic if they are entrapped in iron, so that's another thing. So metal really does affect things. It affects things in the magical realm, and it affects things in the physical realm, and sometimes the things that are being affected in the physical realm affect, you know, your magical realm, your spiritual self, and your the energy flow of your body. So, I mean, I think that metal piercings, not the piercings themselves, but just the jewelry and where you have it, I think, yes, it can affect your energy. You know, it can affect your energy by choice. You know, if you charge a certain piece of jewelry and you want it to help you, it can help you that way. It can, you know, block things, you know, kind of like what I was saying with silver maybe. You know, maybe the silver is accumulating negative energy from people around you, or you bought a new piece of jewelry, or you inherited something, or bought it from a thrift store. Who knows what energy it holds, and that could affect your energy flow. So yes, it could affect you, or it might not affect you. You know, it might not affect you, just like how some people do have allergic reactions to cheap metal. You know, just wearing cheap metal earrings or a cheap metal bracelet can turn your colors, make you break out into a rash. So I think people have the same effect spiritually to metal. Some people might feel energy from it, some people might not. People have different levels of what's the word I'm looking for? People can feel energies on different levels. What one person might feel from a metal, another person might not. So it might not affect you. And then, I mean, some people can just say, hey, I don't believe that and it's not going to work. And who am I to say they're wrong? So that's just some of the thoughts, you know. And another thing that's interesting with, like, plants. When you work with plants, you'll read up a lot of stuff that says, you know, don't cut plants with iron, and don't use any sort of metal when working with plants. Don't cut them with iron when you're cutting the plants. You know, don't make teas in metal. Don't do a lot of things in metal, you know. If you're dyeing stuff, if you're dyeing fabric or wool, you don't want to use like a metal pot to dye it in, because the alkaline of the metal affects the dye, and it doesn't take, you know. Metal has a very high, you know, standing in how it affects things. I mean, just like if you're making wine, you don't use a metal container to make wine in, or or even like when canning sometimes. What else do I have down here? Yeah, I hope that made sense. Basically, what this all came down to in my mind was that I feel that yes, the metals from jewelry not the piercings themselves, but the metal that is in the jewelry, I feel that that can affect your energy flow. You know, not always for the same reason, and it might not always affect everybody. It might affect some people some way and other people another way. It might not affect some people at all. But I don't think it's something that's not possible, because, as I said earlier, you know, metals affect our body physically, you know, and sometimes in very drastic ways. And, you know, as we know, physical illness affects, you know, our energy flow. I mean, I've read multiple times, you know, if you're sick, don't do spell work, because it's probably not going to turn out because you're not up to par. That's all I had to say. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope you understood it. I felt like I had a lot to say in a very short amount of time, so yeah. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, anything to add to it, you know, I want to hear. It's awesome. It's one of those subjects that I had a lot to talk about. So, yeah, I hope you have a lot to talk about too. That's all for now. Blessed be. I love y'all.